On. Sarah, you might know this with your medical background. Did you know we're in a blood shortage?
No.
Oh, you didn't know that? Don't you work for the American Heart?
Yeah, I do, but I don't work on that side.
Oh, you don't work on that side? Yeah. So, as you may or may not have heard.
But I do now. I remember
now
that you say that.
Travis, have you heard it?
I have not.
Okay.
I have not.
I've seen it pop up. In fact, I saw the article pop up, and then yesterday I did like 6 interviews on Fox News, radio, not TV, from was it yesterday? Yeah, it was yesterday. From all over the country about this, because they were looking for people to talk about the emergency blood shortage that we're having. So I want to talk about it because it is important. It's not just something you see on TV or something and think, okay, this doesn't affect people. It really does affect us in the medical field as far as how well we can deliver care. So last month, the American Red Cross, which is the big organization that does the blood drives, right? Announced that we have this shortage, and they also announced that blood donors are down 40% over the last 20 years.
You know that you mention it, I haven't seen their trucks.
So they're still out there, but the number of people donating has gone down.
I just don't see them as much.
Which is problematic because our population is increasing, which means as the population increases, we need more blood, not less. And we've kind of gotten to a point where now the amount of people donating almost perfectly matches the amount of blood we need, where in the past there was a surplus, which is good. You always want to have a surplus, right? In case something happens, donations are down or whatever. But now it just perfectly matches. And what that means is if something happens, like say over the holidays, I don't really remember this, but I heard that there was some really bad weather over the Christmas holidays and New Year's times, and maybe not here in Dallas, but in other cities.
Okay.
And it really affected the ability for the Red Cross to do their blood drives. You know, they do 500 blood donation drives a day. 500 per day. Because
I remember whenever I was I had a internship at a hospital in Georgia, and that was one of my responsibilities was to make sure people signed up for the blood drive. That was always, It was at the hospital once a month.
Yeah.
And most of the people that were donating blood were employees of the hospital.
Yeah.
So it was my job to literally walk around the hospital.
Have you donated blood yet?
Yeah, with a clipboard telling them to sign up with appointments and stuff.
Nice.
Yeah.
Did you donate blood?
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah. I used to donate literally all the time because when I was a student in college, I would see the trucks all the time. When I was in med school, I saw them all the time. When I was in residency, I saw them all the time. I haven't donated in several years, and not because I don't want to. It's just I haven't seen them around where I'm at.
Do you think it's because of people's chronic diseases that are happening? Because I remember whenever I was most people could donate blood, I couldn't because I didn't weigh enough.
Right, that's right. You have to weigh 110 pounds.
Yeah, I used to not weigh 110, and I couldn't donate until I got until I was 20 years old.
So that brings up an interesting point about the fact that not everyone can donate.
Yeah.
So the Red Cross says that about 40% of Americans have the ability to donate based on age, because there's age restrictions, weight restrictions, chronic diseases, whether you're acutely ill or not at that particular time. So of all the people in America, only 40% can donate. But what's interesting is only about 2% of people donate regularly, which is a pretty small number. And we need a lot of blood. I didn't realize how much blood. I mean, I knew that we use blood in the hospital commonly, especially at the trauma center where I work. But I didn't realize how much. So every 2 seconds in America, a person needs a blood transfusion, which means that every single day we're going through about 43,000 pints of blood. That's a huge, huge amount. And so when we're using that much blood and the amount of people donating is basically the same as what we're requiring, when things happen and there's a shortfall, it really puts us in a bind.
Yeah.
And so
what's the type that's needed the most?
Oh, we're gonna tell you.
Oh.
I even have a slide for that.
Okay.
I knew you were gonna ask that. So when you go to the Red Cross, you generally donate whole blood, which I think a lot of people don't realize what all happens when you donate blood. So when you go to the Red Cross, you donate whole blood. That blood has the potential to save 3 lives because they get the packed red blood cells, which is what you commonly think of when someone gets a blood transfusion, we're not giving people whole blood, we give them packed red cells, which is just the part of the blood that carries oxygen. Then you also get the platelets, because there's plenty of people that have diseases where their platelets get really bad, and they have bleeding disorders. And then you get the plasma, which is converted into cryoprecipitate, which has the clotting factors, which also clots your blood, but a different pathway, and it covers other diseases. So anytime you go and donate, you're not just potentially saving one life, you're saving 3. So really important to do that. As far as what you were asking about blood types, so there are certain types of blood that are in higher demand. And first off, I want to throw up the slide, the next one. It shows what percentage of people have what blood type. So this is kind of interesting. I knew that some of these, like in very generalities, more or less, but you see that the most rare blood type, AB negative, followed by B negative, that's 1% and 2%. So those blood types are in high demand because they are so specific and there's so few people that have them. So if you have these rare blood types, it is very important to donate. Also, O negative is very important. So O negative, which 6% of the people have. Flip over to that next slide.
What's the universal blood type?
Right. Universal donor is O negative.
Yeah. Meaning
that no matter what blood type Travis has, you have, I have, if we had a bag of O negative blood, we could all take it and it wouldn't cause a reaction with us. It would be fine. So O negative is the universal donor, and that's the one that for like trauma patients, when you think about people in car wrecks, you don't necessarily have time to cross and type their blood when they come in. And so people in an emergency situation get O negative, and that's why it is so critical to have that blood type. And then the rare blood types is for when you do cross and type, you wouldn't want to waste your O negative on somebody where you know their blood type. Then you're going to need those rare ones like AB negative and B negative. So if you have a rare blood type, do you guys know your blood types?
Mine's A, I think.
I do not know mine.
Oh, you don't? So yeah, I'm A positive.
I have it somewhere.
Yeah, I know I'm A positive because I've just from donating blood in the past.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you know your blood type and you have O negative or AB negative or B negative, one of the rare ones, I mean, it's really, really great if you can donate. But any blood type is important.
Yes.
Because when you get blood, I mean, we can only store it for 6 weeks.
Oh, dang.
Yeah. So
I did not know that.
Yeah. So once you donate blood, within 2 months, that blood's either been used or is expired, and it has to be replaced. And that's why they have to keep. They can't just do like this massive blood drive in 1 month and say, okay, we're good for the year.
How do you dispose of blood?
They have these biohazard containers. I assume they put them in that. I've never actually disposed.
And then they just store them somewhere?
Yeah, they're stored like in the freezers. Yeah. I've never actually seen it. I worked all those years in these big trauma centers, and I still work in a trauma center, although it's a little smaller than the level ones I used to work at. I never did see the blood.
There's just like a warehouse somewhere full of old blood.
Maybe. And you got vampires outside lurking about, trying to break in.
We can only help.
So yeah, but you can only store that stuff for 6 weeks. So it is important that we keep replenishing it, because you can't just have one big drive at the beginning of the year and say, okay, we're good for the year, because the blood does expire. And if you like to donate, if that's something that and a lot of people when it comes to donating is because they've had an experience where either their life was saved by a blood donation or a family member or a friend. So you do get these people that like to donate a lot. Oddly enough, I started donating because I used to have a fear of needles.
Oh yeah.
When I was really young, like college, and so I was like, well, if I go donate,
you got to get over that.
Yeah, right. And so I was like, I can go donate blood, and it worked. After a few times donating blood, I quickly got used to it, and my fear of needles went away. But if you like donating blood, you can actually donate every 2 months.
Yeah, I never had that problem. My mom was a nurse, so back in the day, she used to like bring home flu shots.
Oh, and give you shots at home?
Gosh, yeah. And my mom's like, we grew up like, if we needed to give blood, my mom would be like, you've got good veins.
You have such great veins.
And I'm like, God, you're such a weirdo.
Stop looking at my veins.
Yeah, weird.
Well, I noticed that too back, whenever I used to do trauma and stuff, and you're trying to put in art lines or central lines or something, you're like, man, you have great veins. Love to put an IV in.
And people are like,
really
thanks.
Yeah. So a lot of times people are asking, why is this shortage? Well, it's multifactorial for sure. I think some of it is, the restrictions on who can donate. One of the interesting things that's getting blamed is the pandemic, because
that's a good point.
So many people work from home now.
Yeah, and they show up at places of business.
That's right.
And, like,
exactly
the people
right.
that work there.
So since 2000, they've seen a pretty precipitous drop in the number of people donating blood, and it makes sense. There's not as many people out and about, in any given day as there used to be. So, so the Red Cross is asking people if you can donate blood. I need to do it myself. I just need to go find a place that's doing it, I guess. I can't rely on them just being where I'm at.
Like show up randomly.
Yeah. Well, like when you're a student, like they're on campus literally all the time.
Yeah.
Same thing when I was a med student, when I was a resident. But then I got here, and I guess because I'm in like a little smaller hospital than the major trauma center.
Yeah, it's fun. You go get it.
You get a cookie.
You get a snack.
You get a juice box.
And you feel good about yourself.
Right, yeah. No, it really is good.
Yeah.
And so how it affects us, one of the first things that happens when there's a blood shortage is they have to start limiting major surgery. Because if there's not blood products available for a surgery where you might need blood, like a heart bypass or a transplant surgery or something like that, then sometimes they have to cut back on surgeries, which is pretty crazy. I mean, it can literally save a life. So
yeah.
So go donate blood if you can. We appreciate it.
Do it.